Hello, everyone, and welcome back to Not London Narratives, guys. Today's a bit of a different one because honestly, I feel like a lot of the news that have been in the media are quite dead. Sorry, I'm Gen Z. Boring, and they I don't think that necessarily excite me. So I want to do something different, something that I feel like is exciting to me. Um, but yeah, before I commence talking about that, I would, if you're new here, please leave a like, please subscribe, turn on post notifications. But yeah, I want to talk about a couple transfers that have happened. And one of the not dead things, and actually sort of exciting things, is Newcastle signing a player, which is Malik Diop. Now, I know this guy from Football Manager, but I haven't checked his stats. I think I have before actually, because there was purple there. But yeah, I have before, but I can't even remember. And I think we're going to go through it together because these stats I'm seeing are not necessarily the best. But okay, let's go through it using AI to interpret the stats so we know what we're looking at and we're able to make sense of what we're looking at. So yeah. Um I'm going to because I think Milan, I don't know how they use them at Milan. So I think I'm going to try to look at like over 2 years of stats, like multiple years instead of 1 year. I think that would give us an um overall view. Um so yeah, I want to yeah. He spent 3 years in Syria and I want to check because his defensive stats are necessarily like amazing. And he looks to me from the stats I'm seeing here like he's very good on the ball because his passing stats are incredible. But he looks to me from the stats here like a back three defender. Hello, everyone here. Please leave a like, comment. If you have anything to say, let's interact and everything, and let's get to know each other. That would be nice. But yeah, interpret these 3 years worth of stats for Malik Thiaw and summarize the type of player he is. Let's see. So let's understand the type of player that Newcastle are getting. Use stars to summarize so everybody understands visuals. Like I'm a media student, so I understand that people prefer visuals rather than words, something called information overload now. So yeah, so his defending 1v1 tackling is 3. He's good when he has engaged, but he has a very low volume. Aerial duels, he's very good in aerial duels. How tall is he? Let's check. He's 6'1". Okay, 6'1". 100 and, I think he's 6'1". 185 centimeters if it's. And I guess this would mean that they are not getting or they are not going to be going for Guehi anymore, which is quite interesting. So it's like 6', 6'1". Yeah. So yeah, okay. So yeah, his position and discipline. So he doesn't usually make errors. He doesn't really do interceptions and blocks. So I'm guessing he's more of what? An anticipating type of defender. His on the ball ability, he's very good with short passing. His medium to long passing is elite. His progressive passes is elite. Regular line breaker from in behind. And that's something that we've seen like in players like I think I watched Tottenham Hotspur, so I know this. I know Romero does it, like deep passes from behind. So he's very good at that. Progressive carries, he has improved in recent seasons. Physical and mental, his strength and size, he uses his body well, he's very physical. He's strong, speed and recovery, he's not slow, and he has good recovery pace for his height. His composure, he's very good on the ball. So we can tell that from what I'm seeing here, he's not necessarily the best defender. And he looks like a back three defender because he's very good in air, but his 1v1 tackling isn't exactly the best. He has good positioning. Defending wise, he's not the best, but on the ball, he seems like a class defender. And it's exciting to see how this is going to translate into Newcastle because in Newcastle, they're not going to play back three. I think they play back four. So it's going to be him and Botman. And that's exciting because some of the stats I'm seeing here as a defender, I don't know. But then to be fair, when we did the Konate and Guehi comparison as well, when we compared Konate and Guehi's stats were quite similar, and they spoke about how Guehi was the type of defender that you use when or that you prefer to have if you were playing like the kind of system where you're on the ball. Like if it's about on the ball, Guehi will flourish. And I think that that might be the profile of player that Newcastle are looking for, which would explain the stats we're seeing here. So that makes some sense when you put that into context. I think that makes some sense. But yeah, so yeah, we're seeing his speed, his composure, he's calm under pressure. So even when he's being pressed, he doesn't panic. There are players that when they get pressed, they panic and then they make mistakes. He doesn't do that. As a set piece threat, even though he's good, so that means he's good defensively, but not attacking wise. And balls into the final third, we already know his passing is really good. So overall, as a centre back, he's giving Foster, he's composed, a progressive distributor, strong aerially, but not high volume defensive distributor. Best paired with an aggressive front foot defender, which is why I think pairing him with a Sven Botman would make so much sense. So I think yeah, is like similar to Guehi, is that profile of a progressive, good on the ball defender that they are looking for. And I think it makes sense as a signing. So I think this is going to be a good signing for Newcastle from what we're seeing here. This is Malik Dior, and I think it has high potential. We've seen what Eddie Howe has done with the players that have come to Newcastle. We've seen the likes of Livramento, the likes of Lewis Hall. These players go to a whole new level. And even Isak. Isak was somebody that a lot of people knew about before he came to Newcastle. He was at Dortmund, then he went to Sociedad. And at Sociedad, while he was a very good player, he missed a lot of chances. And Eddie Howe took Alexander Isak to a whole new level. And I think that, of course, I think from what or some of the things I've done my research on, I heard that Eddie Howe is really involved in transfers. So these players he's having, I don't think Newcastle have a sporting director at the moment. So Eddie Howe is really involved and is more than just a manager at Newcastle right now. So he's actually finding these players, and these are players that he thinks can suit his system. So I think this is a signing that's going to be a good signing for Newcastle, and it's really exciting to see how it pans out for them. But moving on, before we start the defender debate, something happened today, and you're probably wondering what. Arsenal beat, I think, Bilbao. Yeah, Arsenal beat Bilbao today. And I didn't watch the game because I had a day off, everything and anything. I just wanted to rest because you work Monday to Friday, and then Saturday and Sunday is your only day to yourself. So you try to keep that for yourself. But yeah, Arsenal beat Bilbao today, and I saw the goals, but I don't really care about the other two goals, the Saka goal and the Kai Havertz goal. What I care about is the Victor Gyökeres goal. And can I just say that that goal showed me what Arsenal have been missing for quite some time. And it was really exciting because the goal was what? Very simple goal. Zubimendi, I think Saka passes back to Zubimendi. Zubimendi one time, a crossing, and Victor Gyökeres with a header, a very good, well placed header. And just that presence in the box, that physical presence in the box. And while Havertz gave them that, Havertz wasn't a killer in front of goal. Arsenal have needed a killer. And I always make reference back to, whenever I talk about Arsenal needing a killer, I always make reference back to this game, Arsenal versus Newcastle. And I will never forget it because it's even here. I searched it not too long ago. This game here, the first leg of the semi final. Arsenal had 23 shots, 3 on target, and they scored nothing. And that is the game I always make reference to, where Ateta got a spot on tactically. They played very good football, but the problem was that they had Kai Havertz. And a lot of people remember that game because it was in that game that Kai Havertz tried to nod the ball and then he used the shoulder to head the ball. Absolute nightmare. But that that game was what showed me that Arsenal need a striker. Like there were times when I've thought to myself, maybe Arsenal can do without a striker. Maybe like we've seen the likes of City do it. You can just be more fluid and like with the likes of Trossard getting like 10 to 15 goals, the likes of Saka getting 10 to 15 goals, Martinelli, who I don't really rate, maybe getting 10 to 15 goals, and these players contributing. Maybe he will be able to do it, but or maybe they will be able to do it. But this game just gave me a whole different perspective and a whole different view on things. And because of this game, I decided in my head that I think that my opinion has to change, and I think that Arsenal do need a striker. And just looking at that goal today and seeing Gyökeres just be there as a physical presence and as a guy in the box who you're going to throw these half chances to and is going to gobble them up. Like you see games when the likes of City, they just spam crosses into the box and pray and hope that Haaland gets onto one of them. And finally, Arsenal can say that they have that in Victor Gyökeres, which I think is incredibly interesting. And it's nice to see how it works. Even though I'm a Spurs fan, I always say this thing. I want to see the best teams in the Premier League playing the best football. And Arsenal right now is one of the best teams in the Premier League. And I want to see them playing good football because if I'm not getting joy from Tottenham, I have to find other places to get joy from. And I'm a football fan. As much as I'm a Tottenham Hotspur fan, I am a football fan. And I want to see the best teams do well. So it's exciting to see how Gyökeres does in the long term. It's good for him to get his first goal and get some confidence and start preparing because Arsenal's fixtures are coming thick and fast. And I believe, let me check. Who do they play next? Their next game, literally, is a Premier League game against Manchester United. So is the sooner Gyökeres gets into the rhythm of scoring and feels more certain in the team, feels more confident, and feels more like, yeah, I'm meant to be here and I'm that guy. I'm the number 9. And they brought me here to score goals. The better it is for Arsenal Football Club. So, and it's better it is for the Premier League. And it gives us a much more exciting Premier League, in my opinion. So I think it's incredibly interesting and it was very nice to see. Another talking point. There are some rumors linking Iberici Eze to Tottenham Hotspur. And Eze is a player that I have carried off my mind. I think we're linked to him, I think 2 years ago now. And we haven't been able to get him. And there are just some transfers that me personally, I'm the kind of person that feels like if something is meant to happen, it's meant to happen now. And if it doesn't happen, then it's not meant to happen again. Like it's just gone. Like if you think back to, let's say now, for instance, an example of what I'm saying now, the perfect example is Zubimendi to Liverpool. And Liverpool wanted Zubimendi. It was Zubimendi or nobody else. And they tried for Zubimendi. He rejected them and it didn't happen. They had um, what do they call him? Gravenberg play in the 6 and he grew into the role. We all know that Gravenberg is an extremely talented player. We know this since he was at Ajax, I believe. Yeah, Ajax. Gravenberg was at Ajax. So since his Ajax days, he went to Bayern. He didn't really get much game time. And then at Liverpool, he has shown that, or under Annie Slot now for one season at least, he has shown the player that we all thought he would be potentially, or he could be potentially. Um, But something like that now is an example where I just feel like if the transfer didn't happen, then it just isn't meant to happen. And now just looking at this whole is this scenario and how Tottenham fans every year say, "Oh, is it?" I just feel like personally, I just feel like that ship has sailed. Like if you wanted Tottenham Hotspur, you would have made it clear. Do you get? And I'm the kind of person that, as much as I might like a player, I sort of have an ego about myself and about my club. And if a player doesn't want me, then I don't want you. Like, do you get what I'm saying? So I don't think I'm going to die on a hill for a player that doesn't really seem keen on coming to Spurs. I think that he has sort of been showing himself out there for Arsenal, and he's just not a player that, even though we've lost Madison, I'd rather we get somebody else than Izzy. And I know that sounds crazy, but I just think in a weird way, sort of an ego thing. And if you want me, then show me you want me, and I want you. Like I'm in this whole mindset, and I'm just talking about like football wise. I'm talking about like in my private life as well. And I think you guys should do the exact same. But I only want, or I'm in a headspace where I only want somebody who wants me, and I only want a player who wants me. Like friendship, relationships, any type of thing. Love who loves you, want who wants you, and it's as simple as that. If you don't want me, no problem, you can go, no problem. Like, do you get what I'm saying? So it's one of those. So yeah, that is my take on this whole Easy Links by Alistair Gold. I honestly, I'm not really a fan of it really. Um so yeah, let's go to the manager talk, which is what I have been waiting for. I'm going to start with Maresca and Ateta because I think this Maresca and Ateta thing is incredibly interesting. And I have been thinking about this for a while now, and it's not even just about Maresca and Ateta, it's about where exactly is Mikel Arteta amongst the Premier League's best managers? Because I see a lot of people rate him highly, and I rate him highly. He has been to the Champions League semi-final. He has finished second in like 3 years in a row or something crazy like that. And he's a top manager. But when you see managers like Arne Slot coming into the Premier League and winning the league in his first season, you see managers like, and mind you, let's be honest, Liverpool's side wasn't necessarily a bad side. Like in clubs last season, and I think in clubs last season, they were going for a quad, even though it was Europa League. They ended up winning only one trophy. I think it was the Carabao Cup or something. Yeah, I think it was the Carabao Cup or something, or the FA Cup, one of them. I can't even remember. But they ended up winning only one trophy and whatever. But this was a quality side that um were in the title race up until like last 10 games or something crazy like that, when everybody started shooting blanks and Salah wasn't also shooting anymore. So it's like, where do we get goals from? Do you get what I'm saying? But this was a quality Liverpool side. But when you also see managers like Enzo Maresca coming into Chelsea and not only finishing in the top four in his first season, sorting such a huge mess, which Chelsea was at the time. I know Pochettino had made things sort of better, but he managed the situation well. He made it clear to players who were in his plans and the ones who weren't. He was very firm, and he spoke like a big manager. It was such a huge contrast when you compare him to the likes of a Graham Potter when he took the hot seat. He had a confidence about him, and maybe that has to do with his sort of assistant coach role at City. He sort of has a big club experience and whatever, so it was quite interesting. But I think that is very interesting. And when you see managers like that, not only did he finish in the top four in his first season, he also won the Conference League. And some people might say, "Oh yeah, Chelsea were by far the best team in the Conference League," but he also went into the Club World Cup and he absolutely destroyed Paris Saint-Germain, who at the time, I get it, Real Madrid were bad, City were bad. A lot of teams had off seasons, but you take nothing away from PSG. They were very good. And I would say the best team in the world at that point in time. And Chelsea went there and they absolutely destroyed PSG. It makes you start wondering who exactly are the best managers in the Premier League. And I think that is a very interesting conversation and one that I feel like a lot of people don't have enough. Um, so yeah, I think it is an incredibly interesting conversation to have. Okay. Sorry about that. I'm having some network issues. I don't know why actually. I have been all day today. Maybe it's the rain or something. I don't even know. But anyways, yeah, I think that is a conversation that isn't necessarily hard enough. Like the conversation of who the best managers in the Premier League are. And I think that it is one that we should have. So we have Arsenal's manager. And let me write that down. We have Arsenal. So we have Arteta. We have Emery in Villa. And we have Maresca. We have Glasner. We have Glasner at Crystal Palace. We have Arnie Slot. We have Pep. We have Amorim. And we have Eddie Howe. I think that's already more than nine. One, two, three, four, five, six, seven, eight. Oh, eight. Okay. And we have. So, do we go with? Let's go with Thomas, who I think is probably going to be the last on this list, considering what he has done in his career. So let's go with Frank, Thomas Frank. Um, but yeah, I think this is incredibly interesting because so there is Ateta, there's Emery, there's Maresca, there's Glasner, and his slots, Pep, Amorim, Eddie Howe. I think we can all universally accept that Pep is number one. He's the best manager in the Premier League. So Pep is first. He has won the Champions League. He has won the FA Cup. He has won the Club World Cup. He has won the Premier League. He has won the Carabao Cup. He has won everything there is to win at club football level. But now, from here on out is where it gets interesting because there's Emery. Emery has won how many The network today has been incredibly poor throughout today. I don't even know why. I don't know why. Like all day, it has been so poor. But anyways, I'm back now. Emery has won the Europa League 4 times, and you have Annie Slot who has won a Premier League before. You have Maresca who has won the Club World Cup. Glasner was won one Europa League. Ateta was won, I think, one FA Cup. Amorim has won the Portuguese league, I think, twice. Eddie Howe has won the Carabao Cup. Thomas Frank, just the championship playoffs. In my opinion, I get it. A lot of people say, oh, the Premier League, but I think that's disrespectful. I think that personally, in my opinion, you can't win the Europa League 4 times and tell me that a manager with the Eredivisie League title, granted, it was with Feyenoord, but and a Premier League trophy, just because he has a Premier League trophy, I will place him above Unai Emery. This is my own opinion. If anybody in the chat thinks differently, that would be very exciting to hear. So yeah, I think in my opinion, based on the achievements, Unai Emery is the second best manager in the Premier League. Yep. And I think third is quite easy. Third will easily go to Annie Slot, who has won the Premier League trophy. Then the fourth best manager. And this is where things start getting interesting. And this is the question about Ateta and Maresca. Because now you have Maresca, who has won the Club World Cup, he has won the Conference League. And the Club World Cup, in my opinion, is more difficult to win than the Europa League. But Emery has 4. So we're not talking about 1. And when I say the Club World Cup is more difficult to win than the Europa League, I'm talking of the likes of Glasgow. So in my opinion, right now, Maresca is the 4th best manager in the Premier League. He's above the likes of Ateta, he's above the likes of Glasner, Amorim, Eddie Howe. In my opinion, Maresca goes to number 4. I think, let me do this somewhere that is more visible, because I'm writing it here in the comments, but it's only visible to me. So yeah, I think this is better for everybody else. So you have Maresca's 4th, in my opinion. Then after Maresca, I would say the next best manager. Ateta has won one Carabao Cup and I think a Community Shield. Glasner has the Europa League trophy. Amorim has the Portuguese League 2. I would say the next best manager in the Premier League is Glasner. Now, after Glasner is where it gets interesting, because now you have Ateta with an FA Cup and an FA Cup and a Community Shield. You have Amorim with, let me check. I think he has won. What has Amorim won? Let's check. What does Ruben Amorim won? Has Amorim won as a manager? 2 Premier League titles. I'm guessing these are cups. I'm guessing these are cups. He has won a couple trophies, but they were all in the Portuguese league, and it would be extremely disrespectful to put him over that was won a Community Shield and the FA Cup. And I get it that how has won a Carabao Cup, but I think the FA Cup has more weight than the Carabao Cup. So we say Ateta is the 6th best manager in the Premier League. And that is incredibly interesting. Then we have, I think it's easy to say that Eddie Howe is the 7th. Amorim is the 8th based on his trophies, and Thomas Frank is the 9th best manager in the Premier League. Slot is better than Ateta. Let me see. He has delivered in a shorter time. Without a doubt, I agree with you 100%. But that's the thing, Chantal. Would you say that and his slot is better than Unai Emery because Unai Emery has won 4 Europa League trophies. I get it, and his slot has won, I think, 2 leagues with Feyenoord or one. What has Anislot won? Let's check. What has Anislot won? I think he has won. I know he has won at least 1 league title. Yeah, okay, 1 league title and 1 cup. Then he has been to the Conference League final. But then Unai Emery has 4. Shanta. Unai Emery has 4 Europa League trophies, and Slot has his most significant trophy is the Premier League. You can't say one Premier League is greater than 4 Europa League trophies. That's crazy. Or what else is in the chat? What else is in the chat? You guys should let me know your thoughts. Because I think that's crazy. Like, honestly, like saying that a manager with 1 Premier League trophy is better than a manager with 4 Europa League trophies, I think that is a stretch. Like, that's disrespectful to the Europa League. And if you want to disrespect the Europa League, when Tottenham won it, when there was no drop down, teams were dropping down when Unai Emery won it. And Unai Emery won it with likes of what? Villarreal? Like, do you know what that means? To win, like, the Europa League with Villarreal. That's crazy. And Sevilla. I think Sevilla, yeah. Who did Emery win the Europa League with? Yes, Sevilla and Villarreal. That's madness. I don't agree with you on that, Chantal. Honestly, I don't. So yeah, this is my own personal top 9. So you guys can leave your own top 9 in the chat. I would love that personally. This is my own personal top 9. Let me arrange it second, and his slot is third in my humble opinion. Maresca is fourth in my humble opinion. Glasner, Arteta is sixth, and Arteta being sixth now brings up the conversation on how, like, why Arsenal fans talk about how Arteta isn't a good enough manager for their club, because it opens that kind of worms. Because top 9, let me write top 9 Prem managers in my opinion. You can leave yours in the chat. Let me know your own top 9. But this is my personal top 9. I think that opens a different kind of worms where you start having the conversation about how, if Arteta is the 6th best manager in the Premier League, is he good enough for Arsenal Football Club? And the thing about Arsenal is, I think that right now Arsenal are in a very tricky position, because for years they've been unable to win the Premier League, and they had no better chance to win the Premier League than last year, and they just didn't do enough in the transfer window. And I feel like if Arsenal are not careful, Arteta's Arsenal are going to end up like Pochettino's Tottenham, where they're the nearly men, and sooner rather than later, and I keep on saying this thing, if Liverpool have half a brain and Saka has half a brain, Salah is leaving. When Salah leaves, none other than Bukayo Saka to come to Liverpool. At Liverpool, you're going to win trophies. You're in one of the biggest clubs in the world. You're going to win trophies. You're going to challenge for the biggest trophies. You have the likes of Isak. You have the likes of Wirtz. You have the likes of Gravenberch. Like, these are quality players you're going to be playing with. And you win trophies. Like, it is sure you win trophies. It's not like Arsenal where you're going to be the nearly men. And I think that Saliba, they have so many good players there. They have Saliba, they have Timber, who I rate very high. Timber, you have Declan Rice, you have Zubimendi now, you have Odegaard. I think he's a decent player. I think he's a good player. I don't think he's as good as a lot of people talk about him to be. But you have some decent players in that side, and the top teams are not blind. As much as you want to be knocking on the door, eventually people are going to come and say, yeah, I want your player. And these players are going to move to these other clubs because they win, and you don't win. And that's the reason why the likes of Harry Kane wanted to leave likes of Christian Eriksen wanted to do, because as much as Tottenham were challenging for stuff, you got to the final, you got to the Europa League. I say Europa League final, yeah, Europa League final on the, I think the Europa final or semi-final on that coach, I remember, or the Champions League final, FA Cup semi-finals, and things like that. As long as you're getting to these things, it doesn't matter if you're getting there if you're not winning anything. And sooner rather than later, those players are going to be asking questions of the manager. And like Arsenal having the squad they have, but having what I would say right now is based on achievements, the sixth best manager in the Premier League is incredibly concerning. Is incredibly concerning because I think that we've seen how much a quality manager can affect a team. I think that, for instance, now if you guys remember, let me show you something. The Premier League table. I think that's like 23, 24 now. No, or 22, 20. I think it was 20, 22, 23. No. It's the season before that, 21, 22. Wow. That was a long time ago now. But anyways, wow, time flies. Jesus Christ. Um, I think that this season here, when Tottenham finished in the top four, sorry, when Tottenham was finished in the top four with Antonio Conte, the reason why Tottenham was finished in the top four with Antonio Conte wasn't because Tottenham had a top four squad. No, we did not. The reason why we're able to finish in the top four was because our manager was levels above the squad, and he was able to drag the squad and help the squad outperform. Like, you get what I'm saying? Like, if you look at Crystal Palace, for instance, as well, Crystal Palace don't necessarily have the best squad in the world, but because they have a manager that is of a certain caliber, the manager is dragging that squad to levels that they shouldn't be hitting. It's the same thing as Thomas Frank at Brentford. Brentford, a lot of people would have said should probably get relegated. Like their signings went exactly it. But Thomas Frank dragged that squad to a level. Do you get what I'm saying? And even this season, when they had so many injuries to likes of Rico Henry, they had Ivan Toney out with the ban and things like that, and they had an injury crisis. He still finished 17th or 16th in the Premier League. So he dragged the squad. And I feel like the problem with Arteta looking at this list here is that Arteta is the sixth best manager in the Premier League. So even if Arsenal's squad is like might not be of the level to win the Premier League, because of the manager that they have, they are able to drag them over the line and sort of give them that 0.1% or that 2% or that extra 5% because of the caliber of manager that you have at your football club. And if I'm being honest, I don't know what to say about this team because I feel like, I know this might seem controversial, but I feel like considering the job Eddie Howe has done with Newcastle, a manager like Eddie Howe is able to win the league at least in one of these 3 seasons. Like with this Arsenal team, they're able to win the league. And it's not just even about being able to win the league, it's about Arteta learning on the job. Arteta came and they were finishing 8th, then I think they went to 5th, then they went to second and second and second. Like, he hasn't shown over time that he's able to win, and it's concerning because this is his own team. And I know this talk coming turning to an Arsenal talk, but I think that it's incredibly interesting that he's hasn't been able to show us, like, even the FA Cup that he won. It was Emery did majority of the work. The Community Shield, City won everything, and then they got there because they finished second. Do you get what I'm saying? So he has not really been able to do anything. And even when he has had his own squad, he has not been able to do anything. No, at the very least, Arteta, a what do they call it? What's the name of this trophy? The Carabao Cup. At the very least, the Carabao Cup. At the very least. And he hasn't been able to show that he's able to get his Arsenal team over the line. And I know it's a bit unfair because this is a manager, like I said, that's been to the um, Champions League semi-final. He has been second in the Premier League 3 times. He has taken Arsenal from depths of having the likes of Metesaka and Maitland-Niles in their side to having the likes of Timber and Saliba and likes of these players. But football is a game of fine margins, and I think that maybe this could have been very different if maybe the Saliba injury didn't happen in the first season where they had to be playing. What's the name of this guy? That centre back, Rob Holding, I think. Yeah, Rob Holding. And maybe things will be different. Maybe the season where they won or they lost the league by 1 point to City, things were different. The game, the Carabao Cup last season, the game that they got battered, or they battered Newcastle but couldn't take their chances. If they had a striker, maybe things would be different. And maybe just maybe Ateta will be here instead. But so is football, and so are the fine margins in football. So yeah, this is a brief one because I don't know, nobody in the chat is really saying anything. Shanta left a few comments, but nobody's saying anything. And there's not too much to talk about. Like I said, the whole transfer window, in my opinion, has just been dead. It has been dead, and there's really nothing to latch onto. Like the rumors are just dead. Okay, they're saying AC Milan is discussing the exit of Hoyland. I think she should go. I think that Hoyland is a good player. I just think that he just didn't give himself enough time to develop at Atlanta, and he just um sort of made the jump too early, in my opinion, and that has been the issue with him, in my opinion. I think that he's a good player, but then coming to Manchester United, you not being ready, you not being the finished at school, and coming there as the number one striker, that's a lot of pressure on you. That's a lot of pressure. And Manchester United is one of the biggest clubs in the world. They have one of the biggest fan bases in the world, and that's hard to deny. And that's too much pressure. That's too much pressure. Like it's not. Maybe even in Tottenham, it's not. It's not like it's too big a jump coming from Atalanta. Like even if you're coming from like an Inter Milan or something, it's even understandable. You can sort of understand, but coming from Atalanta, coming from Syria, that is not really as watched as the Premier League. Then coming from Atalanta, so it's not even like one of the top teams in the Italian league. That is too much pressure for a young child, and I think Hoyland is a child. I think he's a good player. I hope he finds home somewhere. Yeah, it's going to be a brief one today because, like I said, nobody's really interacting in the chat. But yeah, that's perfectly fine. I don't really have too much to say. My PR teacher, yeah, my PR teacher used to say something that um to say something that anything that can go wrong will go wrong, and I think that has been the case of today. A friend of mine was meant to come on, but he wasn't able to come on anymore. My network is absolutely horrible. It has been throughout today, and it's an absolute mess. But yeah, that's all I have for you guys today. Please, if you're new here, please leave a like, please subscribe, and I'll see you guys next time on London Narratives. Have a lovely day, guys, and I hope You're very well. And also turn on post notifications, please, and thank you. Turn on post notifications as well, so you know when I go live every night, every day, 10 p.m. So yeah, please leave a like, please subscribe, and turn on post notifications. And I'll see you guys next time. Take care, guys. Bye bye.